Alright, so in today's video, we need to talk about something that's been shaking up the Zenlesszonezero community over the last few days. And yeah, I mean shaking. I'm talking about the version 2.4 banner leaks involving Dialyn, Banyue, and two very unexpected reruns, Ellen and Hugo. If you've been scrolling through Reddit or Discord, you've probably seen the chaos. People celebrating, others crying about Rerun jail, and a whole lot of confused Sanbi and Haramasa mains wondering if Hoyoverse just forgot they exist. So let's break down everything that's going on. What's leaked, what it might mean, how the community's reacting, and why this banner setup is way more complicated than it looks at first glance. If you want to save up to 23% on your Zenlesszonezero top-ups, check out lootbar.gg. Right now, Lootbar has a 2.3 limited 6,480 Polychrome pack for only $76, while it's $100 in-game. So on Lootbar, you're saving $24. I just entered my UID, picked my server, no password needed. And just like that, the monochromes appeared on my account. And look, I still got the first-time double bonus, same as with the in-game top-up. Lootbar has over 20,000 positive reviews on Trustpilot and more than 90,000 positive user reviews across Hoyoverse games. I've been using it for over a year now, even for my giveaways, so I can personally recommend it. New users also get an extra 10% off coupon, so click the link in the description and start saving today. So, here's what we know. Or rather, what's being leaked right now. According to leaker Leifa, who's been fairly accurate in the past, both Dialyn and Banyue are debuting in 2.4, each paired with a rerun. The post doesn't confirm the order, but it explicitly says Dialyn plus a rerun and Banyue plus a rerun, with Ellen and Hugo listed as the likely candidates. Most players assume Dialyn will run alongside Ellen in the first half, and Banyue with Hugo in the second. But again, none of that is confirmed yet. Now, at first, most people weren't surprised by Hugo's name showing up. Thanks to earlier Dialyn leaks, a lot of players already suspected he'd return. Her kit allegedly has stun synergy, and if you've followed the meta, Hugo's whole identity revolves around stun-based team setups, so it made sense. But the real shock came from Ellen. She's already had a rerun before, so the idea that she might be coming back again before Sanbi or Haramasa even get one has people completely baffled. And the reactions online? They're hilarious, but also painfully real. The top comment under the original leak literally says, Hugo wasn't a surprise thanks to Dialyn's leaks, but Ellen? Now weighing. It got hundreds of upvotes because everyone feels the same disbelief. One player joked, Haramasa is following in Dr. Ratio's footsteps, basically calling him the Dr. Ratio of Zenless. Forever missing, never rerun. Another chimed in, they'll rerun anyone at this point except Haramasa. So, yeah, there's a lot of salt. What's fueling the frustration even more is how slow reruns have been in general. Players keep saying Hoyoverse needs to start doing triple rerun banners, similar to what Honkai, Star Rail started doing in its 2.5 patch, because ZZZ's roster is just growing too fast. Right now, only 2 rerun slots per patch means some characters, especially the early ones, get trapped in what the community calls rerun jail. It's the same complaint we saw in early HSR when units like Jingwen or Seal disappeared for almost a year. Then there's the money angle, and this part's hitting players hard. Banyue and Hugo running together sounds great on paper, but for a lot of people, it's actually the worst-case scenario. One user summed it up perfectly. My God, my polychromes are so cooked. You can feel the pain in that sentence. Others are a little luckier, saying, finally, a Hugo rerun. I missed his W engine last time. So yeah, it's a mix of relief and despair, depending on your wallet situation. But what about the new characters themselves? Well, Dialyn's been the talk of the town lately, even though her full kit isn't in beta yet. Based on leaks, she's a physical on-stun agent, sort of a universal disruptor that can build stun gauge and enable other attackers. Some leakers suggest she's flexible enough to fit into both attacker and rupture teams, kind of bridging the gap between those roles. Players are hoping she might even replace Lycaon as Hugo's second-best stunner, which would make sense considering their potential synergy. Others just want to see how her kit feels in practice before committing, because we all remember how some characters looked amazing on paper but ended up feeling awkward in gameplay. Banyue, on the other hand, is shaping up to be one of the flashiest designs we've seen in a while. His animations reportedly feature multi-arm combos, pillars of rock, and a fire-infused burst mode that looks like something between a bruiser and a support. His leaked scaling ties to max HP and chi regeneration, meaning he could play like a sustain-type fighter that toggles between defense and burst phases. Some community testers even compared his rhythm to a sustain, then unleash style, basically building chi, activate enhanced state, unload high fire damage, then drop back into a calmer stance while regenerating resources. If those details hold up, he might end up being the kind of character that rewards timing and skill expression rather than simple spam mechanics. Now, back to the reruns. Hugo's return was practically written in the stars. The new holo bosses for 2.4 are reportedly ice and physical weak, which makes him, and any stun-based agents, incredibly relevant again. Players are actually seeing this as a great chance to either get his missing mindscapes or finally grab his signature W engine. One comment said, "If Dialyn becomes his second-best stunner, I'm set for 2.4. So if this pairing turns out to be real, the synergy between Hugo and Dialyn could actually be a smart meta move from Hoyoverse, one that makes the banner tempting even for veterans. Ellen's rerun, though, is a whole different story. She was buffed not too long ago, but the consensus among players is that she's still underwhelming compared to newer ice attackers. Some are speculating this rerun might be Hoyoverse's way of testing buff impact on sales to see if adjustments actually bring old units back into relevance. Others are just confused, especially since Sanbi recently got buffs too, and yet no rerun. One player wrote, "They really said the Sanbi buffs are only for the true believers who pulled her the first time." Another added, "Electric Attacker is the new Cryo Jail." The comparison to cryo units from Genshin's rerun drought is spot on. It's that same feeling of being ignored while every other element gets attention. And then there's the gender pattern theory floating around. Some players noticed Hoyoverse keeps pairing new male characters with male reruns, like Lighter with Hugo, and now possibly Banyue with Hugo again. The joke is that it's some kind of Husbando tax patch before the next Void Hunter cycle, which players believe will feature Yeshengguang, a potentially fire-type VH-level agent. So in a sense, people are seeing 2.4 as a calm before the storm patch, a chance to rest, save, and maybe rebuild pity before the big spenders go all in on the next Void Hunter unit. If you zoom out a little, this pattern actually lines up with Hoyoverse's usual rhythm. Every few patches, they slow down banner hype and use filler or rerun phases to let the economy breathe before a major meta shakeup. It's exactly what Star Rail did around its 2.4 cycle before Aventurine and Firefly dropped. So, even if you're disappointed with 2.4, it might just be part of that larger pacing strategy. At the end of the day, the community feels divided. Some are hyped for Banyue's potential and grateful for Hugo's return. Others are exhausted from seeing the same names, or worse, still waiting for their favorites like Sanbi, Harumasa, or even Anbi to get a rerun. And a few are just taking it as a copium patch, a time to save polychromes before the next big update hits. Personally, I think it's kind of fascinating. On one hand, 2.4 might not be the most explosive patch, but it's revealing how zenlesszonezero is slowly finding its long-term rhythm, alternating between hype releases and quieter rerun cycles. It also shows how deeply attached the player base is. People aren't just talking numbers, They're genuinely emotionally invested in these characters. Anyway, that's everything we know so far about the Banyue and Dialyn banner situation and the overall community reaction. What do you guys think? Would you pull for Banyue or Hugo again? Or are you skipping to save for Ye Shengguang or the next Void Hunter? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm really curious how everyone's managing their pulls this patch. And if you want to stay updated on leaks, rerun news, and future meta breakdowns like this, don't forget to subscribe. We've got a lot more coming as the 2.4 cycle unfolds. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Save up to 23% on the current banners at lootbar.gg. Just enter your UID and server. The link is in the description.